Ke te mihi ki te rangi, ke te mihi ki te whenua, kei te mihi ki ngā mate, kei te mihi ka a tātou e hui nei. Tēnā koutou, no mai, haere mai, ko Suzanne aho, o Tamaki Makaurau aho, kia ora koutou. So very warm welcome to all of you. I think I met most of you at the orientation. So lovely to see you again and very exciting to be able to welcome you to the first session of this short course on public health management. So we will open with a mihi, which is a traditional welcome, welcoming you to the University of Auckland. And unfortunately, we can't have you here in person. We would love to be able to have you in person, but we would like to formally welcome you anyway. So I will just share my screen. Just to note that the first part of it is in Te Reo Māori, the Māori language, and then the second part of it is in English. So don't worry if you don't understand the first part. Right.
Tēnā tātou katoa, ka hakarau I kia mai I rungi te kaupapa tera, he paku whakamārama ai mui I toki kōrero kia tātou. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll speak again shortly in Te Reo Māori, but just to explain, mihi whakatau is a traditional welcome speech, and then I'll explain a few things after I complete, and I'll start also with a karakia, which is a ritual that encourages a positive engagement within a particular hui, such as this. So I'll revert now back to Māori language. Kei te mihi kia tātou katoa, ko te kupu, ko te amorangi ki mō, ka tā pai o hiuri nā reira kia ino I tātou. A tikina atu rā te pūtake o ngā kōrero, tikina atu rā te hautapu o ngā riki. Kai whatatia I tāne te wānanga ki runga ki nei ruanupu, kia koe te matapunenga, maiangi te matapu iho kia hakamau wai kia tīna. Haumi e hui e tāki. He aha te hau e wawara mai, he tiu he raki. Nāna ia mai te puputara ki he kiota, e tikina atu e au te kōtū ko I te pauwhakairuka tū ki te waitemata I oku wairangitanga. Te he wā mauri ora. E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā mātā waka mai ngā kokongo te ao, ko hakarau ika mai ki tēnei huihuinga o tātou I rungi te hui topa nei, nau mai, hara mai, whakatau mai. Nau mai te karanga o nei ngā mātanga, he toru atu o lātou ringa kia koutou, I roti te kaupapa, nau mai. Hara mai hoki, e roti te karanga o Waipapa Taumatarau, University of Auckland me ki te whai wā, ki te whakatū tēnei wānanga I a tātou, tēnā koutou katoa. Whakatau hoki, I roti nei kupu a Ngāti Whātua Lāka, I mihi ana, ki ngā tini whakaheke e waianui a tātou. Whakatau mai. Tuatahi mai muhi ki te atua ki te tīmatatanga me te whakamutinga o ngā mea katoa. Ko te tuarua ki ngā tini mate e wainganui a tātou, e wainganui a koutou, aha kua kaihea, aha kua kōwai, aha kua nōhia, e ngā mate katoa haere atu rā. Rātou kia rātou, ko whitirangi tia, I rungi tērā waka, ki te haere ki te era o ngā whare manahua, haere. A tātou kia tātou, e noho mai nei ki te ao tūroa, ki tēnei ao mārama, tēnā koutou katoa. Nō ki te honere, ki te tuku e nei kupun, mai I tōku tupuna, mai oku hoa mahi hoki I roti I tēnei tari nei. I roto I ngā kupu, hea te mea nui o te ao, he tangata. He tangata I roti tērā. Hari me te koa ki te kiti a koutou, ko piri mai nei I roti tēnei kanawhi tērā, ka huri au ki tērā o ngā reo, ka haka mara mai tātou katoa. Good afternoon again, everyone. Just to reiterate my words of welcome, and amongst all of those words that I just spoke, it's important that I explain part of it. So you understand the acknowledgements that I was making. The first part was a prophecy that talked about the arrival of special things upon the north wind into Tāmaki Makaurau, Auckland, by my tribe in the early 1800s. And so we apply that to every formal situation, so that we acknowledge you as taonga, as special items, things that are precious to us, and your families as well. The second part in particular that I want to make mention of is we acknowledge in our formal speeches those that have passed on, those that have left us and now sit with the atua, with the gods of our understanding, and we acknowledge you as reflections of all of those that came before you as well. We call it whakapapa, our genealogies, and when we speak and when we meet, we acknowledge our whakapapa to at some point where we might connect on the same level. So we acknowledge the memories of those that we carry with us, especially as at this time we were not able to be as close as we normally would be with our friends, families and colleagues. And just lastly, on behalf of the university, Waipapa Taumatarau, on behalf of the organisers here, a special welcome to make do with the opportunity we don't have of being together, of sharing kai, sharing food and conversation, but being thankful also for the opportunity still to meet. And lastly, from my tribe, Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei, that is intimately connected with where the University of Auckland sits in the centre of Auckland City, I offer you the words of my ancestors within this greeting too. So kana whetena, kia pai te haere o tō koutou hui. I hope the hui goes well. I'm going to close off with a waiata or a song, because it's custom in these parts that when you speak, you close with a song. So if any of you are speaking later on, feel free to close with a song as well. So we get that opportunity of sharing each of our cultures. So kei te mihi kia koutou katoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Papa ki mai, ngā garu nunui, wāwara tia, ngā tairere, e ripo e, ngā garu nunui, tere tai, hei ko nei rā. A tēnā tātou katoa. Now, hen.
Kia ora mai. So now we will do some introductions. So I'll start. So many of you will know me from last week, but my name is Suzanne Woodward. I'm the Associate Director External Engagement at the Public Policy Institute here at the University of Auckland. My background is in communication, so yeah, this is not my area of expertise, but the managing these courses and delivering them, yes. So very warm welcome to all of you and to our team. So perhaps we can start with the PPI team, and then I'll hand over to you, Chris. So Gay.
Thank you, Suzanne. Kia ora, everybody. My name is Kay Marie Francisco. So I've met, I think, most of you in the orientation. So welcome again. And yes, I'm your Scholar Success Advisor. I hope you're still not getting tired of all my emails. But I'm so happy that you're all here and very early as well. So thanks so much for that. And we know that you will be learning a lot from everybody, from all of your colleagues, and of course from our teaching team. So before we hand you over to the teaching team, my colleague Louise will also introduce herself.
Kia ora, everyone. Welcome. My name is Louise. I'm a support staff at the Public Policy Institute. Nice to meet you all.
Kia ora. And now for the star of the show. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself and your team?
Well, I'm just the one of many, but welcome everybody. It's fantastic to get to this starting point after a lot of preparation, and I know you've all been involved in making application and hoping to get on board with this course. So really looking forward to our next 5 weeks of spending these hours together each week. and going on a learning journey together. So it's not about us here teaching you all a whole lot of things so much as a collective learning experience, because I'm sure that you have much to share and contribute to the collective learning experience. And just looking down the list of those of you who are in the program, there's an awful lot of experience and expertise. So I really want us to draw on that expertise as we go through the weeks ahead. I'm going to just give a brief bio of myself, and then I'm going to pass on to the team members. You may see somebody sitting next to me, and he will introduce himself shortly. We're just sharing the screen in a room, and I'm very grateful to Dilla because he brought a cup of coffee for me. I've just arrived back from 3 weeks in Europe. I was at a conference and then had a little bit of holiday, and I'm still suffering from some jet lag. So caffeine is a very useful stimulant at times like these. Anyway, my name is Chris Bullen. I'm a professor of public health at the University of Auckland. I'm a public health medicine specialist, trained as a doctor here at the University of Auckland. I've worked in low and middle income countries, and I've also worked here as a primary care physician and public health specialist in New Zealand, and then moved into research, did my PhD here, and my focus in the last 20 years has been on tobacco control research, but I've also worked in other areas of public health importance. And it's a real privilege to be involved in these courses and to learn from the experiences of people like yourselves from the ASEAN countries. And I'm really looking forward to the time together. But one of the things that Michael Stedman said in his introduction, he used this phrase, tangata, he tangata, he tangata, which is the people, and he was referring to a saying in the Maori world, which is, what is the most important thing? It's the people, the people, the people. And sometimes when we're talking about big picture issues like public health problems and how to attend to them, sometimes it's easy to overlook the fact that actually what we're talking about is the impact it has on individuals and their families and communities. And so public health and public health management, as I'll explain, does not mean that we're just talking about statistics. We actually also think about the individuals, and it's important to hold on to that thought as we go through our programs. And I'm sure that's a value that you all hold as an important driving force in the work that you do. I'm not going to sing a song at this point, so that's a good thing, because I'm not particularly tuneful. And I'm not sure if any of the other team want to sing a song, but I'm going to pass on to Dilla first, and then to PP, and then we'll go to, I think, Monica and Foot. And so over to Dilla to give a brief introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. Hello, everyone. I'm Dilla. My actual name is Abdullah, but I'm known as Dilla. I've had the privilege to join this course for the first, is this the second year or
It's a few years.
a few years. Well, see, I didn't know. I thought it was the second year. But I have the privilege to join this as an opportunity to grow and to, well, help assist with the teaching, but also to learn myself from all of you. I wouldn't say students, because you all don't, like, I can see the job titles here and the organization. You all seem very quiet, the experienced guys, not me. But it's a learning opportunity here. I come from various backgrounds. My academic background, I studied neuroscience. And then after 4 years, I realized it's not for me. So I changed to public health. I did my master's of public health at the University of Auckland. And then I did my PhD with Chris in in developing smoking cessation intervention for Muslim smokers. So I am familiar and I have a bit of experience working with the community. And I do agree with what Chris just said, public health is about the well-being of individuals and communities. And that actually what drives me to do research. The individuals are the most important factor here. I would love to grow and be a great researcher like Chris. Yeah. So I think that's all about me. I'm from Malaysia originally, but I was born and I lived in Saudi Arabia. So also in terms of my cultural and ethnical background, I am diverse. So I hope that helps with getting to know the students in this course. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dilla. Okay, over to you, PP.
Hello everyone, kia ora everyone. My name is Pipi Pyo and I'm originally from Myanmar. I think some of you might notice the name because we use the same name twice. I don't know why, but yeah. So I'm glad to see every one of you, like, coming from the same region. So looking a little bit alike, maybe we like rice. Well, this could be probably like one of the common thing for ASEAN region. I think like rice noodle, etc. Yeah. So I am here. I arrived here in New Zealand like 2.5 or 3 years ago, and I'm still studying PhD with Professor Chris Poulan and other amazing team, and here for about 3 years. So I'm about to submit my PhD hopefully soon. And at the same time, I'm also working as a research fellow with Chris only for illicit tobacco project. My background is like my first degree is a medical degree from Myanmar, and then I have Master of Public Health from the UK, and then I used to work for different organizations, so mainly on the population health and with like different types of organization, main community-based organization, networks, NGOs, UN, etc., etc. So yeah, I also like to actually learn from these courses. So I have been involved in this type of courses for a couple, like 3 or 4 times already, which I like a lot because I get to learn from all of you and then learn about your culture more and more with like every course that I participate in. So I really look forward to work with you all over the next few weeks. So welcome all. Over to Monica.
Okay, thank you, Pipi. Hello, everyone. Kia ora. My name is Monica, and I'm originally from Indonesia. I know a lot of you are from Indonesia here, and I am a trained clinical psychologist. So back in Indonesia, I was a clinical psychologist, and also I worked for 7 years as a lecturer in one of Faculty of Psychology in Central Java in Indonesia. And actually, I'm a bit nervous here because I know most of you are very experienced, but I'm looking forward to have this sharing and discussion session with you. I love learning. I love to teaching, and actually, I just starting my PhD last year, and my research is about how Asian youth in New Zealand navigate themselves with the drinking culture here in New Zealand. So yeah, I think that's all about me. And next, I give to Put.
All right, everyone. Yes, very happy to see all the familiar faces from Southeast Asia, which is very similar to me. Yeah. My name is Putanaporn Netongsuvan. It's a very long name. Uh, just call me in short Put. Yeah, originally from Laos. Yeah, and Sawadee to all my Lao fellows. Yes, a couple of them here. Uh, yeah, about myself, my background is medical degree. Yeah, I did my medical degrees, and then after that, working some year in a clinical department. I was trained in the field expertise in general surgery, and then after some year, I did my Master of Public Health at the Auckland University of Technology here in New Zealand, and then returned back to Laos to work a couple of years, and now I'm doing a PhD in the School of Population Health in the faculty here in University of Auckland. And now I'm in my second year, and my research focused on health system resilience and emergency preparedness in developing country, looking at the case study of Laos. And I'm very happy when I was invited from Professor Chris and PP to join. This is my first time to join the program. And to share my insights and my experience, especially in the field of the emergency preparedness and response, with all the participants here. And I will co-lead a couple of sessions, 2 sessions, and one session is about mostly about public health communications and emergency preparedness. We'll see me time to time, but not all the session. And yes, very very happy to be able to learn from this program as well, and to share my experience, discuss with all the participants, throughout the whole program. Very nice to meet you.
Sure, thanks, Food, and thanks all the other members of the team. So as you can see, we've got, it won't just be me talking all the time, which is a really good thing. You will have different members of the team leading the sessions that we have. So what I would like to do at this point is, Suzanne and Gay, if you're happy for me to proceed, I'm going to just give an outline of the course. But did you want to talk about any of the other admin side of things first, like Canvas and the resources and other things?
I think, Suze, they're going to introduce themselves as well, right? So do
Oh,
you
yeah,
want to
we'll do
do the
that too.
intro
Yeah.
first, Chris? Or do you
Yes,
want
yeah,
them
no,
to do that?
absolutely. Let's go through the whole introduction. I think that's a great idea. Let's do that now, and then we'll. Okay, so perhaps if you can organize that for us, that'd be great.
Yep. Suzanne, do you want me to call their names by countries? Would that be?
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Gay.
Okay. So we'll start with Brunei. Jeffrey.
Hello, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Jeffrey, a medical doctor by background, and I did my master's in occupational medicine. So I'm an occupational medicine specialist, trained in Australia and Singapore. Currently have been working in, although my background is occupational medicine, but I actually have been working in public health for the last 10 years. Because we are in Brunei, we are lacking public health specialists. So I've actually been working as the head of environmental health division for the last 10 years, with some gaps in between for my training in occupational medicine. So basically, my main work involves looking at border health, vector control measures, and environmental health sanitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Shing.
Hi everyone,
Brunei.
I'm Kai Shing, so from Brunei as well. So I'm a medical doctor in public health. I did my medical degree back in University of Queensland. So I spent a good part of my life in Australia. And then after that, I was in Singapore for a year and then came back to Brunei. So the good part of my career was spent in general surgery. So I spent maybe about 6 to 8 years in surgery. So I moved to public health about 5 years ago. So I currently lead the Epidemic Intelligence and Response Unit under Brunei Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So our work involved surveillance, outbreak response, and basically a lot of the communications with WHO as well. So we are the national HR focal point for WHO, with WHO, and we do a lot of like capacity building activities. And one of my the other portfolio that I do is we look into One Health. Which is we're leading the One Health project for Brunei, trying to coordinate with other sectors. Yeah. So yeah, in the gist, that's my background. Thank you.
Thank you. We go to Cambodia. Rina.
Okay. Good morning. Yes, from Cambodia. I am Rina. I in the morning from here, from Phnom Penh. Okay, I graduated my bachelor degree in geography and land management. My both master one is for development study. I research and my thesis I research about student behavior and attitude on environmental health. And second master is about educational administration and leadership. And currently, I just finished my PhD from Thailand, from Khon Kaen University. My thesis is about the educational stress and qualities of life among high school students in Cambodia. I actually, I am a teacher trainer at National Institute of National Institute in Cambodia, but I am a teacher trainer in earth and environmental science. And I am researching now. I am a policy maker for the educational health for the student from kindergarten to grade 12. Because I want to promote about I am like a curriculum development, curriculum for development for the student from K to grade 12 already, but we really need about really to know about the health policy more. And this is a goal, opportunity, or chance that I could meet all of you here. And I really need to get more, get experience or more knowledge from all of you. And thank you very much for Professor Chris and to everyone here and Teacher Gray that you always give more opportunity to Asian people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Pauline.
Hello everybody. Kia ora. My name is Pauline. I come from Cambodia. Nowadays I working at Ministry of Department Rural Healthcare. My background major, I graduate medical doctor in Cambodia 2017. I continue study master degree in public health and long-term medical university in China. I graduate to 2020. Nowadays my job equality both signature and hygiene. Yes. Nowadays I put the proposal for the project nutrition, and I have write the public policy focus NHP national place strategy for work and complete with Ministry of Health. I write proposal NIP and made healthy. Yes. Thank you, everybody. I hope I have the new knowledge, improve my knowledge from all scholars from the New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Next, we go to Indonesia. Ade Zayu.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Hello, everyone. My name is Ade Zayu Cepakasari. You can call me Ade. I'm a lecturer in midwifery department at the Health Polytechnic of the Ministry of Health in Bengkulu, and also known as Poltekkes Kemenkes Bengkulu. Okay, I have heard that everyone here is the truly outstanding people, so I'm excited to learn from all of you.
Thank you. Next, Aldilia.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning and good afternoon there. My name is Aldilia Pratama from Indonesia. You can call me Al. My professional background, I am a midwife originally, but I graduated from master degree in women's health from UK, University College London. I had an experience professional midwife for over 3 years, but now I'm working in NGO, social foundation in rural area of East Java, that I'm responsible for taking sexual and reproductive health for adolescents, especially for high school students and Islamic boarding school students. And yeah, I'm very excited to meet you all and looking forward to have a good discussion with the experts and all the experienced public health professionals here. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Anida.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anida, and I am a clinical nurse working in a remote area in Central Java. I'm a little bit nervous because I just finished my bachelor degree, but I think I hope that I will get more experience and also gain the insight from the expert and also other participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Diana. Diana Rahima.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Diana Rahima. My background is from double degree. I have a bachelor degree in midwifery and law degree, and I working for NGO, especially in care companion based in Jakarta, and it's focused on maternal and child health and non-communicable disease. And I'm looking forward to have a great discussion with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Nurul Ilma.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. My name is Nurul Ilma, and you can call me Ilma. I'm a veterinarian in Depok City in Animal Health Center, and I'm working as a veterinary clinician in here, and I'm interested in public health and zoonosis disease. And to join this program, I hope I can learn from all of you about public health, and I hope I can get my master's degree in Auckland University. Thank you.
Thank you. Prita Sari Mustika Dewi.
Hello everyone, my name is Prita and you can call me Prita. I work in Public Health Center in Sentolo Sub-District, Kulon Progo District, Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And my working in Public Health Center, including provide dental treatment for the patients, especially patients from the low to middle economic status. Under the National Health Insurance, and my public health center covers about 27,000 people for 4 villages. And I'm very excited that I heard that Prof. Chris Bellen had many experiences about smoking cessations, because we are in our public health also have kind of innovations on how we tackle smoking for elderly using acupressure or point pressure massage in our public health. So I hope that we can continue our discussions further. And my background is I'm dentist, that I graduated from dentistry faculty, but when I work in a public health center, so our focus is in promoting and preventing disease rather than curative treatment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to discuss and have insight from you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Rizky Manula. Rizky.
Hi, my name is Rizky Amanullah. I'm from Health Polytechnic Yogyakarta. I got a bachelor degree from public health from Diponegoro University Semarang, and also I also become lecturer of health law, magister of health law. I'm glad to join this training to learn a new point of view about public health in New Zealand and all across the country, all across the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yuli Diwaryani.
Hello everyone. My name is Yuli. I was a medical graduate in medical in 2015 from Kuala University. Currently, I'm working as civil servant, and Ministry of Law and Human Rights. I will look forward for the discussion from college and the teacher here related to public health. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to Lao. Sutida.
Hello, everyone. My name is Suthida Bilavian. I'm come from Laos. My background is a medical doctor. I'm graduate master degree in tropical medicine and public health. So now I am as a technical officer at Division of Health Professional Education and Training, a Department of Health Personnel, Ministry of Health. So today I'm very excited to attend this course, and I'm very great to have the opportunity to attend, and I would like to get more the experience and learn the public health system in New Zealand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Phanovan.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Panomban Sitisai, or you can call me Tun. I work as a technical officer at Cabinet Ministry of Health. My background is quite different from another. I graduate is business management, and I work in the Ministry of Health since 2013. So it's quite 11 years. So I am excited to learn about this course, and I want to gain more the knowledge about the public health, and I hope I will gain more gain more the experience of from everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We now go to Malaysia, Darwin.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Darwin. So basically, I'm a medical trained doctor. So now I'm serving as an academic and researcher in School of Medicine in Perdana University. So basically, my niche area is more to environmental health and also climate change. And basically, I just recently graduated a PhD in a very diversified, I think I'm the first Malaysian graduate in environmental health engineering from the University of Malaya. So this is something new for us to explore in terms of maybe we can see that public health is a very diversified discipline that we can venture into. So this is one of the things that I really want to have a look and also to collaborate with every one of you in here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We go to Myanmar, Sapal.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Phu, and I am very excited to be joining this call on the ways from Myanmar. And I had a diploma in Myanmar, and I'm just working in Kenny Mobile Health Committee in Myanmar. I joined this public health management programs to strengthen my knowledge and health policy and to find practice solution that I can apply best and hold in Myanmar. I also want to be very open that one of my personal goal for this programs is to significantly improve my English speaking and communication skill. And I know there might be times when I speak slowly or needs a little clarification. So I would really appreciate your patience and understanding. Thank you.
Thank you. That's fine. Next, we have Tan Tun. Tan Tun O.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tan Thuong U. You can call me Tan. I am from Myanmar. So currently, I'm working as a senior public health officer at the Suvarnabhumi Foundation in Thailand and Myanmar border. And I'm also teaching the social and behavior science in public health at the Korean Institute of Medical Science in the border. So my background is the community health. I have the aware of the public health experience in the indigenous community in Myanmar, mostly in ethnic area. So my interest is focusing on the health policy and ethnic health governance. So the reason I joined public health management course from New Zealand is to learn more about the New Zealand healthcare system and also about the indigenous health system in New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Shan Yin Ong.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Chen Yeong from Myanmar. I'm working as a project manager in the civil society organization, especially in ethnic state. My first degree is diploma in nursing. And then after the coup, we could not find any solution to move forward for our future. So I decided to get a degree, especially on health science degree from the University of the People. And I request my degree transcript recently. And now I'm joining this program as part of my dream because in the area or the ethnic region, there's so many challenges to move forward for their help and their other part of the community member and need, especially for the public health management for their region. So my current word is as a Asia MNCH, especially for you and maternal health. So I decided to join this program as part of my dream and for the part of the country. Thank you for all.
Thank you. Next, Pon Pe Son.
Hello, good morning, Kira and Mingalava. I'm from Myanmar, and then my name is Pongpi Song, and you can call me just Pon or PP, shorthand or my first two name. So I'm from medical background, and I'm a medical doctor. Since my graduation back in 2017, I work at a different position in local and international NGOs in Myanmar. And currently, I'm now working as a program manager in a non-government organization, local NGO. So meanwhile, I'm planning to pursue my master studies. I'm so excited to join this program and to share and learn with all participants together. Thank you all.
Thank you. Now we go to my kabayans from the Philippines. Joanne Carla.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Joan Carla Montero from Davao City, Philippines. I am a registered midwife and I've been working with in the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples for almost 10 years, focusing on the healthcare and community support for the indigenous peoples. In addition, at my work, I am also having my part-time job at one of the hospital here in the Philippines, assigned in the operating room and delivery room for almost 12 years. And currently, I am my final year at my Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and I am excited to continue working professionally and academically, and looking forward for the learning from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Jennifer.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Jennifer Patanio from Region 12. I am a registered midwife and currently serving our indigenous peoples under the agency of National Commission on Indigenous Peoples. Caring for indigenous peoples on the health and maternal care. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Riza. Riza Serna.
Yes. Good morning, ma'am. And I am Rita Serna from the province of Dinagat Islands. I am the provincial sanitation inspector focusing on the environmental health and sanitation. As my background, I graduated my Bachelor of Science in Biology in the Mindanao State University, General Santos City. And I am very honored to be part of this program as I am surrounded with experts, and I am excited to learn a lot from this program that can be applied and hope to be applied it in our province. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Nino Archie.
Mabuhay, maayong buntag. Good morning to all of you. I'm Mimi Archies Labordo, a registered nurse and a professional licensed teacher in the Philippines. And I am the current Regional Nutrition Program Coordinator of the National Nutrition Council of the Department of Health here in the Philippines. We are the one responsible for coordinating to the local government units, mobilizing the LGUs in terms of their nutrition program, advocacy, implementation based on the targets of the Philippine Plan of Action for Nutrition. I am happy and exciting to be with you, particularly in sharing with the other countries and particularly of honing another skill coming from the New Zealand. Thank you and mabuhay.
Thank you. Next, we go to Thailand. Pinya.
Good morning, everyone. I am Pinya from Department of Disease Control in Thailand. So basically, I'm a medical officer. For past 17 years, I work in the division of liquor-borne disease, and now I work in the division of alcohol consumption policy. So very happy and excited to join this course and expect to learn more skill for the public health management. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to Vietnam. Thi Hong Tra. Thi Hong Tra Tran from Vietnam.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Dr. Lun Cha from Vietnam. I'm graduated from Hanoi Medical University, and my highest degree Master in Hospital Management. I'm currently working at the General Department at Tam Anh Hospital. I'm looking forward to learn from all of you, especially in leadership skill. Okay.
Thank you. Next, Anh Nguyen.
Hi everybody, my name is Anh Nguyễn. You can call me Anh. I'm working for the Vietnam National Geriatric Hospital. My hospital is the leading hospital for the elderly in Vietnam. Very nice to meet you, and thank you for bringing me opportunity to join this program.
Thank you. Next, Ngan Nguyen.
Hello everyone. Good morning. My name is Nguyễn Thị Hương. I come from Hanoi City in Vietnam. Now I am lecturer. Yes, now I am lecturer of Department of Rehabilitation in Hanoi University of Public Health in Vietnam. Although I have master traditional medicine, but my research focus on public health and rehabilitation. Yes, I am happy, and thank you to join the course public health management. Yes, now I prepare and I hope to go to New Zealand to go to learn the PhD. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Trung Thanh Tran.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Thanh Trần from Vietnam. I am a doctor of preventive medicine and my major in preventive medicine and public health. Now I'm working at the Office of Vietnam National Independent Program on Immunization. So the public health management is very comprehensive concept referring many different aspects that I'm very interested in. So I'm very honored and excited to start this course. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Hy Ngọc Han Nguyen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is, you can call me Hannah.
I'm really excited to join this program to meet new.
Han, are you still?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm really excited to join this program to meet new friends. About my background, I got a doctor of infective medicine. Yeah, I choose preventive medicine as a symbol. I wish to take care of the health of a community, not just a patient. Yeah, and now I'm working at the University Medical Center, which is one of the leading university at the southern Vietnam. In my work, I focus on improving patient safety, reducing health care associated infection, and doing some research to promote evidence-based practice. I only work closely with other team from different departments to conduct surveillance or providing training. I hope that this program will increase my knowledge about management, which will help me to do my work efficiently. Yeah, and I hope that you expand my collaboration with other people. Yeah, and a professor in Auckland. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Phi Hong Nguyen. The last, yep, go ahead.
Yes, good morning from Vietnam. My name is Ngân. So I'm working in Hải Dương Medical Technical University. I'm working as the lecturer in here, and I was in the university and the University Hospital. My background is occupational therapist. I have a study occupational therapy in India for 6 years. So occupational therapy is very fresh in Vietnam. During the teaching and working as occupational therapy roles, I have another role in conduct and develop the occupational therapy program in Vietnam. So that's why I'm very happy to get a scholarship from the New Zealand for this course. I hope that after this course, I will understand about the public health and has a better plan for developing occupational therapy in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to double check, did I miss anybody?
So,
Everyone?
yeah, I think you did a
Okay.
great job there. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And thank you, everybody, for your brief sharing of your background. It's really very, very impressive. But I think it speaks to the multidisciplinary nature of public health, that we have everybody on this group from doctors, nurses, midwives, but also a veterinarian, a dentist, people in management and clinicians, people with a background in surgery, infectious diseases, etc. And that really is what public health does. It brings diverse groups of people with different areas of expertise to work together collaboratively on some of the biggest health challenges that we face as a human race on our planet. And somebody mentioned One Health. And you may be wondering what One Health is about. That's really, well, we could let the experts speak to that, but very briefly, just in the interest of time, my understanding is it's about the interrelationship between humans, animals, and the environment. And we have no better example, perhaps, of a One Health public health challenge in recent years is COVID-19. Where the possibility of a virus moving from animals to humans occurred in the fact that humans and animals were living very closely, perhaps arguments about the source in a laboratory in China or what have you. But putting that to one side, it's likely that as our populations grow and become more dense, living in different environments, that we will see more diseases that relate, particularly infectious diseases, to the movement of organisms between animals and humans. But thinking more broadly even, that's communicable diseases, but non-communicable diseases we're seeing increasingly in both animals and humans, such as obesity in pets, which kind of reflect the obesity in humans. And so there's a kind of transmission, if you like, by the lifestyles that we now lead and the diets that we have that are changing constantly and weaving together. So it's a fascinating area. And I think we're going to go on this journey together. This course is not a full, like an academic curriculum for a master's in public health, but it's kind of like a condensed introduction or refresher, because some of you have already got a lot of experience and exposure to public health and its core concepts. So I'm hoping that a perspective from New Zealand and our experience also from other countries will help to shed some fresh thinking on the areas that you're working in. But if you're new to public health, I'm hoping that this will give you an appetite for more and that you will be encouraged to pursue this area. It's so important in your future. And whether that's here in the University of Auckland or somewhere else, in your own country or regionally, that remains to be seen. But anyway, it's wonderful to have you sharing all your backgrounds, and I think we're in for a very rich and enriching time together over these next 5 weeks. Okay, Gay, was there anything else at this point that you'd like to raise? Administratively, perhaps, or
No, I think well, firstly, everyone is on Canvas now, Chris. So
oh, great,
yeah,
fantastic.
so they
Okay,
should be able to access your materials as well.
brilliant.
But aside from that, we hand it over to you. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Gay, and thank you, Suzanne, and also Louise helping out in the background. So just mentioning Canvas, it's a really, really useful learning management platform, and it will have, what we will do is post PDFs of the slides of our talks up on the Canvas site, as well as links to some important websites that we refer to and some reading resources. And we'd encourage you, I know this is the first day and you're very, very busy people, so we're not expecting a lot of engagement with the learning material at this point, but it would be really ideal if you can in the few days leading up to each session, if you can have a look at some, if not all, of the material that we have on the Canvas site for each of the days. And they're up there, and as well as other just general resources for your interest. And we may post some new material. We're constantly monitoring medical journals and news and WHO sites and so forth for anything that's relevant to what we're covering in the course that might be of interest to you, to provide you with the kind of tools, frameworks, and ideas for expanding your thinking. So thanks, Gay, for that link that's just gone up in the chat. Okay, well, I'm going to just share my session, which just a minute, why is that not coming up? There we go. That's funny. The PowerPoint that was on view has just disappeared, but I will pull it up in a second. Right. Yeah, can you see that or not? Not yet. Okay. Let's jump back here, cancel that. Sorry, we're just having a little problem with the sharing facility. Share screen. Why is that not coming up?
I think if you go to share first,
yep.
There's one.
Yeah, right. Okay, that might be it. Okay, no, that's just going just a minute. Let's try that. It's multiple participants. It may be that one.
It may be.
Yeah. No, that's for, sorry, folks, just bear with me. For some reason, the slides I've highlighted have not come up. Where have they gone? There it is there. Why can I not show that? It should be showing up on the Zoom. Sorry, Gay, is there something with the...
Can you check maybe it's in a different tab? Like you open the...
Yeah, sorry, we'll just go back to Zoom. And this is embarrassing, just a second. Nope. Yes, it says it's coming up, but it's going to the wrong screen. Okay.
Hi, Chris, do you want to send me the presentation that
Yeah,
I can
yeah. I
share?
don't know what on earth is happening here. I will
That's
send
all
you the
good. Yeah, yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
had it
yeah.
all ready to go, and it's
Yeah,
not showing up. Okay, I will send that to you now, PP.
yeah, sure, sure. That's all good.
Actually, Chris, I can see it now.
You can see it now?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
just...
Your
Yeah, now it
screen. Yes,
disappeared.
we can see your screen now.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, then.
Okay. I don't know what was happening, but maybe it was just taking longer than we thought. Okay, and we'll go to the main slide. Okay, phew. I thought I was going crazy.
Yep, that works now, Chris. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much, and sorry for the very unslick dealing with that. Okay, so what we're going to do is just go through some introductory issues around just the kind of general thrust of the course, and then starting off with learning objectives, which is always a very good place to start, and so we'll just finish that. Okay, so the aim of our time together over these next few weeks really is to give you knowledge or strengthen existing knowledge, or perhaps provide you with a fresh angle or way of thinking about issues to support strengthening health systems and healthy public policy in your own country where you're working. So it's about you in your workplace and improving, hopefully, your ability to contribute to improving health and health policy and health systems. But also we will cover leadership. And so thinking about some of you who may be more junior, giving you some of the basics in public health leadership, how to be more influential, and drawing on principles of good public health sector leadership. So that'll be later on in the course. We will cover also what we call stewardship. It's about how to operate with a good ethical behavior, with integrity and transparency in the work that you do, drawing on some examples from New Zealand and other parts of the region, and also to support the development of more effective systems of local and national governance. And really what we're talking about there is kind of engaging with communities and involving people in their own health. So we'll be covering things like today, just an introduction to what is health, what is public health management, and then in the last part of the session, thinking more about ethics and its application, ethical frameworks. Then tomorrow we'll talk more about using evidence to guide decisions, and also how we measure and monitor health. We'll also talk about health systems, community action, health policy, global health, and leadership. And we'll do all this in a kind of more, start off usually with a more kind of didactic, typical lecture kind of format, but I'm pretty relaxed about, firing off a few small questions here and there as we go through. And then we'll typically break into small groups, and then we'll come back and have a bit more of a discussion. And you'll see some of the friendly faces on the screen will be involved in the teaching, as well as a few guest speakers that we're going to bring in from time to time, people with specific areas of expertise who'll contribute to the teaching, just to provide you with some fresh approaches to things. Okay, so does that sound all right? Let's hope so. Okay, so let's start off with the definition that our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade had when they said, we want you to teach a course in public health management. And really, getting around to it, what we're basically talking about is things like administrative, managerial, and leadership knowledge, attitudes, and skills. So separating out administration from management and particularly leadership, the knowledge, attitudes, and skills that you need to design, to plan, to deliver, and to evaluate both personal health services, but particularly public health services or public health programs or interventions effectively, efficiently, ethically, and equitably. So there's a huge amount in that definition, and we're going to kind of pull it apart in its bits and hopefully pull it back together again as we go through over our time together. So why this emphasis on public health management? Often many of you are in roles of leadership or managing people or managing programs or projects, and the capability to do that is really quite important, because without skills in doing so, we can't provide the kind of evidence and technical advice and support to people who make the decisions, such as our political leaders, but also providing important advice to our communities about how they can work at the community level to improve health, so that we can guarantee both effective implementation, oversight of policies, norms, and guidelines once these are developed. So I'm taking some of that definition or answer to the question about why public health management from the WHO Global Strategy on Human Resources to Health, and I've kind of interposed a little bit more about not only communicating up to policymakers, but also down, if you like, but not saying they're down any less important, but just more towards the grassroots, where a lot of important decisions and activity for health obviously goes on, and we'll talk more about that through the course. But more fundamentally, really, we're facing some pretty existential threats to public health, global threats to health, climate change and all its impacts. For one, some of the, big threats, we've talked about COVID-19 very briefly. There are going to be more of these kind of challenges, I'm sure, as our world becomes more complex and we mix and mingle more because of international travel, and the change in the environment as we urbanize and crowd more together and mix, as I've talked about already, with other forms of life that we share the ecosystems with. So global threats to health require people with skills that we call public health skills or public health approaches, and we'll talk about that in terms of some of the key domains of public health and public health management. Program planning and management, which I see from what you've shared, some of you are already doing and have been doing for a long time. Basic public health sciences and practice, like epidemiology would be one basic public health science. Practice might be, surveillance and monitoring, disease outbreak investigation, communications and use of communications tools. That's going to come up as a kind of recurring theme throughout this course, as will be the importance of forming partnerships with communities and development of community capability and capacity, and assessing community needs. Analysis and assessment, it's analysis of routinely collected data, but also one-off analysis. Organizational leadership and awareness of how systems work and how complex systems are a part of the reality of being a public health person. We're not going to do a lot on budget and financial planning. That's really beyond the scope of this course, but it is part of the scope of public health management, is being aware of the resources that are available and managing those resources effectively. So that's what that's about. But the specifics of, looking at spreadsheets and forecasting, and that's not within the scope of this course. Emergency planning, preparedness and response. Actually, we are going to put a bit more emphasis this time around than we have in previous courses, because I think this is becoming, as we're seeing more climate-based emergencies and acute infectious disease emergencies, we need to make sure that we're all equipped to contribute to managing those challenges. Now, this is a kind of busy looking slide that you're seeing here. It's taken from a publication, and it refers to a public health framework for health system strengthening. Just to say that in this triangle, underpinning it is health infrastructure, and in the middle is really all about how we can strengthen, say, our ministries of health or other public health institutions like universities, laboratories, etc. But right at the top of the pyramid is the second layer is using scientific evidence to inform policy development and then implementing evidence-based public health actions and programs. And around the sides, you'll see that programs might include vertical programs like maternal and child health, TB, leprosy control, NCD programs, etc., and workforce capacity development. And on the left-hand side, we're looking at all the different sort of basic public health sciences. That's a more extensive list than the ones I talked about. So in kind of one picture, we're looking at trying to think about all the different areas that you pretty much fit, all of you fit into this diagram in one shape or another, one size or another in terms of public health frameworks. And then there are some new sciences that could be added. For example, IT skills, which are becoming essential to public health monitoring, surveillance, response, etc. So let's not forget the new sciences that this 2012 publication didn't really anticipate, but we now know that it's essential. And it's an important one for communication, of course, as people increasingly use digital tools to access public health information. Here's another framework, and again, it's quite complex. Instead of a triangle, it's a series of concentric circles, but it has a kind of triangle or a cone or a funnel in the middle of it. It's a WHO Evidence Policy Impact Guide for Evidence-Informed Policy or Decision-Making from 2022, and it's called an evidence ecosystem for impact. And the idea is you have evidence from primary, secondary, and tertiary research, which might mean basic sciences through to pragmatic, community-based evidence from focus group discussions or pragmatic trials, feeding into identifying priorities, designing solutions, designing implementation plans, communicating and engagement as we go around the circle, implementing, monitoring, evaluating, and making fine-tuning adjustments, sustaining the change, and then scaling up for global health and equity. And that's the middle circle. And then around the outsides, we've got under each of those segments, different aspects. So for example, under designing solutions, it might be a question around participants, the population at risk, the intervention, the comparison population, and then the outcome measures, access and appraisal of effectiveness and impact, and adapting and synthesizing information to inform design, implementation, etc. So there's a lot in there, and I'd encourage you to have a look at that funnel. But essentially, it's about understanding the problem, designing a solution, and then evaluating the impact of that solution, and then kind of continuing to go around in circles. And underpinning that are some cross-cutting activities like communication, capacity building, principles like inclusiveness and equity, which we'll refer to a lot. So it's again a one-size sort of one-page model, which has got an awful lot in it, but it's useful for looking at. And we will kind of touch on a lot of these things as we go through the next few weeks, such as communications, co-design, community partnership, principles such as power with, not power over people and communities. So that's working alongside and building on the strengths and assets that people and communities have, not dominating with our ideas of what is the right thing to do. And the importance of analysis, evaluation, assessment to continually improving our programs and interventions. Okay, so just a few frameworks just to sort of set the scene. And then what we're going to do now is talk about what is health, what is public health. And we aim to wrap that up and pause at about 3:30. So we've got 15 minutes to move very quickly through a lot. But if we have to skip through a few things, I'd encourage you to go back to the slides that we'll have up on Canvas for you to refer to, and we can kind of recap tomorrow about some of the things we covered today, just to reinforce some of the key points. Okay, so I'm going to skip through what is health quite quickly so we can focus on what is public health. But health, many definitions. You're probably familiar with the World Health Organization definition of health as being a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's a very idealistic, sort of optimistic definition. But really, health could be seen more broadly as a resource for everyday life, not just the object of living, but actually a daily thing that we draw on to help us in our lives. And it's a positive concept, drawing on social and physical resources, and it includes mental and spiritual well-being. So these definitions of health have evolved over the years from sort of physical, mental, and social to incorporating other aspects such as mental and spiritual dimensions. And in fact, here's a New Zealand model of health that we draw on a lot here in New Zealand, and it comes out of Indigenous Maori understandings of health, which are more holistic than traditional European, Eurocentric models of health, which have overemphasized perhaps the physical dimension and neglected the social, spiritual, and mental dimensions of health and well-being. So imagine health as a four-posted house, but it has its foundations in the people, the land, and history of people. That's the whenua. Then it has taha tinana, which is the physical aspects. And on the right-hand side, the family or community, where you're from, your identity, who you are. Very important, as we know, to health. And then on the roof posts that support the roof, the taha wairua, which is the spiritual sense of, again, something about your identity, but also your connection with God, or spiritual aspects of life that, vary from place to place, and faith a little bit, but essentially it's about seeing yourself as connected with the wider forces, whether you have a view of God in the traditional sense, Allah, or God, or your perhaps it may be another sense. Some people here in the West often find spiritual meaning in their connectedness with the natural world, for example. And then there's the taha hinenaro, which is social and emotional aspects. And I guess what it's speaking to is that health is more than just, our body as a machine. We know that, and the fallout from COVID-19 was more about mental and social and spiritual well-being than just physical aspects, for example. We can express some of this in our literature and poetry, and I know, I love reading poems and literature, so I'm going to quote from a New Zealand author, Catherine Mansfield, and she had her own definition of health, which I think is quite special. And she wrote this, and she's a person who died in her early 30s from tuberculosis in the early part of the 20th century. So she wrote a lot, and some of her work is worth having a look at if you've got the time and interest. By health, she said, I mean the power to lead a full, adult, breathing life in close contact with what I love, the earth and the wonders thereof, the sea and the sun, and perhaps some of us might want to add, and other people, or God, some other dimensions as well. But I love this, the power to lead a full adult breathing life. So there's dimensions of vitality, of energy, of good social relationships, control over one's life, being able to do the thing you enjoy, having a sense of purpose and a connectedness. Other ways of understanding health might be looked at as a kind of medical model, behavioral model, social environmental model, or combining them all together in a psychosocial model. So very quickly, often those of us who have been indoctrinated in the medical model through our medical training particularly, we often see, as I said, the body is a machine to be fixed when it's broken. And so doctors are the kind of mechanics. And if someone has an injury or a disease, we go for the diagnosis and then we apply the right treatment. We may be involved in screening for disease. We might have interventions that are technical fixes for prevention or treatment. Tends to be top-down, tends to be driven by experts with scientific backgrounds. There is a focus, fortunately, on prevention of disease, but predominantly treatment tends to dominate the world of medicine. And often there is a lot of use of the term risk, but often it focuses on individual risks rather than causes or determinants that drive people's exposure to risks. And that's where public health often has a strong emphasis that will come into it. So if we take more of a condition like family violence, so somebody might present with fractures that are underpinning their problem, we can fix the injury, the broken facial bones from an injury, but medical models don't address the underpinning social needs and relationship fractures that led to the person coming in, the woman coming in as a result of family violence, domestic violence. So the model is successful in fixing the immediate physical problems, but not very good at dealing with the underpinning social, emotional context. Behavioral diagnoses or approaches focus on people's behavior, their risky behaviors, drinking excessively, smoking, etc. Experts tend to decide what the issues are and may be involved in prescribing effectively, behavior change interventions. Again, it can blame people who are the victims of the problem. So, for example, smoking might be actually a manifestation of addiction, but it was driven by anxiety and poor social relationships that people got there in the first place. So again, we can just deal with band-aiding a problem and not dealing with an underlying issue, because we're expecting individuals to take responsibilities to change their behavior when behind the scenes we've got major commercial forces driving addictions like smoking, alcohol, misuse, etc. And so, for example, with family violence, the behavioral response may be a lot of perfectly good things like anger management courses for angry husbands, safety plans for women, legislation to put in place protection orders, training health and social service professionals, lawyers, judges, police, etc. All these are good things, providing information and counselling, but may not be complete. So having a more of a combined approach, which recognises both the individual social circumstances, but also the wider environment, where communities get involved in identifying the problems and finding solutions that work for their environments, and where we focus more on changing their social environment rather than just trying to give a solution for an individual, is, I think, a more holistic approach. Policy changes where the environment, where we get people out of poverty, create employment, reduce the likelihood of substance misuse, which may facilitate domestic violence. So we're starting to get a bit closer to public health here. So a social environmental response to family violence shifts societal norms to change what's acceptable about violence against women and children. It addresses gender inequities. It strengthens legislation, challenges the power imbalance between men and women, for example, and so on. So if you're getting my drift, we're moving here into public health, away from that kind of one focus on individual health. And so the question is, what is public health? And there have been a number of answers to that question. And perhaps the best known definition is the science and art of preventing disease, prolonging life, and promoting health through the organized efforts of society. Okay, so we all knew about how public health strategies came into play with COVID-19. And here on the screen, we've got masks, we've got social distancing, we've got the wearing of gloves and quarantine, etc. So these are all classic traditional public health things, but they're not going to address type 2 diabetes epidemics, and it will be solutions for some kinds of problems, but not all of them. So if we're thinking more broadly about where public health puts its focus and emphasis, typically it's on what we call upstream interventions, thinking about the causes of disease, not just the immediate causes, but the more distal or distant causes. Upstream, if you look at this model here, we've got people falling off a cliff into a river. Sometimes we can throw a life belt at them to help pull them to safety, but sometimes we need to resuscitate them, and the ambulance is there well below the bottom of the cliff. And that's where a lot of resources consumed at that downstream level. But public health is trying to shift our gaze upstream and building fences at the top of the cliff to stop people falling in the first place. One of the most common models for helping us to think through where public health puts its focus is this so-called rainbow model of public health. And at the center, we've got factors that we can't change easily, like age, and sex, and ethnicity, etc. And around that, we've got individual lifestyle factors such as, smoking, drinking, physical activity. Around that, we've got the yellow concentric circle of social and community factors, family connectedness, social isolation. Then we've got the green circle of the rainbow with things like education, the workplace environment, and some of you are involved in occupational health and well-being. We know that's important, but also is employment or unemployment. That's really important. Water and sanitation. One of you, I think, is a sanitation expert. Healthcare services are really important to health, obviously, so we're not diminishing all of these things, but equally housing, adequate housing, it's really important for health. And then the outer band is general socioeconomic, cultural, and environmental conditions. And I think in this part of the 21st century, we might want to expand another circle, which is about, global climate and environmental change, because I think whilst we can mention environmental conditions, we're all aware of the huge potential for health impacts of global, temperature rising, adverse climate conditions, extreme weather events, desertification, the lack of water. These things are going to be huge in the 21st century. I think that Dahlgren and Whitehead, who came up with this model in 1991, would probably want to update their rainbow model with. Okay. Quickly, equality and equity. We're going to talk a lot about equity, less about equality in this model, and we'll come back later on this afternoon or this morning for you, looking at equity a little bit more closely. But in this model, just the distinction is, we could say these people are all equal because they've got the same level of being able to look across the fence at a game of baseball. But actually a more equitable approach would be to lift the short person or the youngest person so they can have equal view. So giving people the same amount of resources and saying that's fair is not going to lead to the same outcome for everybody, depending on some other factors. And so equity is at the heart of public health. Equally, here's another way of looking at public health, focuses on greatest public health impact by addressing the factors that need less individual effort. The things that need more individual effort are things like intensive counselling and education, clinical interventions at the top of the pyramid, but they tend to have less public health impact. We need to go to the bottom of the pyramid to shift the socioeconomic factors and the environmental factors and the social, political, cultural environment in which we change how individuals make decisions. And then we have, you get a better bang for the buck, if you like, at that level. And that's called the Health Impact Pyramid. There's a paper in your readings by Tom Frieden, who used to be the director of the CDC, And he writes, he's just published a book, actually. I'll post the link to that book on the Canvas page for you. It's a really good read about public health and a lot of examples of how public health has made a huge difference. So across the course of upstream approaches and the orange double-headed arrow there at the bottom of this frame, we've got upstream approaches like social equity, social cohesion, downstream approaches, which are like provision of clinical services. All of those are important in public health management. We can intervene at different levels. If you operate at the upstream level, you're more likely to get a bigger impact for the investment of resources. But clinical interventions and clinical settings are important settings for public health action as well. And we can look at these interventions in terms of whether they're primary prevention, secondary prevention, or tertiary prevention. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about disease prevention. And we can talk about health promotion as well as a separate topic later on in the course. So these are all just very introductory concepts and models that you might like to look at more closely and just to think about where you sit and where your understanding is. But perhaps the most well-known model for public health is called the Ottawa Charter for Health Promotion. And this was a lot of work done by people through the auspices of the World Health Organization, 1986, in the city of Ottawa, Canada. And there are 5 action areas here in French and English. I'll start on sort of the top: strengthening community action, developing personal skills, creating supportive environments, reorienting health services, and then kind of all around in the red circle is building healthy public policy. So all of these things we'll be looking at and referring back to this model of public health. And the circle here in the blue circle talks about enabling, mediating, and advocating as important public health functions to help develop personal skills, strengthen community action, creating supportive environments, shifting the health services in a more public health direction, but ultimately it's building healthy public policy at whatever level, whether it's at the community level, institutional, regional, or national, or global level, that's going to make the greatest difference for the greatest number of people. So public health focuses on preventing you from getting sick, helping you and your family and community to proactively manage health and well-being through promoting healthy behaviors, protecting people's health by ensuring, the basics of water, food, etc., shelter are there. Prevention of disease through things like vaccination, screening programs, advocating for public health policy through evidence-based information provision, and responding to pandemics and epidemics. So it's not just about the publicly funded healthcare system, although that's an important part. It's about all these other things as well, and that's a bundle of things we call public health. Now, I'm going to scoot through these slides. We'll come back to them as an example of a public health program later. But I think at this point, we should pause and have a break, and we're going to break for, I think we've got 30 minutes, haven't we, Gay?
For the break, 20 minutes, if
20
that's
minutes.
fine with
Yes,
you,
20
Chris?
minutes. Yeah, no, that's good. Let's go for 20 minutes and we'll reconvene on the hour, and then we'll wrap up with the last session, and we'll have some interactive opportunity at the end of that session. So we'll see you all in 20 minutes time, back here, same site, and we'll engage with some further aspects of our course, and then we're laying the foundations today, and then we'll get more in depth into the specifics later. Great. Okay, see you soon.
Okay, 20-minute break. See you in a bit. Probably people
What
had
we're going to-
breakfast.
Of course, people had breakfast. I'm thinking about dinner. It's a few hours later here in New Zealand, of course, so it's 4 o'clock here in the afternoon. Okay, well, welcome back. I hope you had a good breakfast. Most important meal of the day. Now, I'm sorry, I hope this image on the screen doesn't put you off what you've just been eating for breakfast. This is some images from a very serious condition. I wonder if anybody would like to pop into the chat what that condition is. If you are clinicians, you might have seen a serious case. See if there's anything up on the chat there. What you think that condition is. Okay. Everyone is talking at the time. 10 a.m. Thailand, yes, but if you can just hazard a guess what that disease you're seeing is. Vasculitis. Yeah, vasculitis. Yeah, it's part of. I'll give you, I won't waste any more time. Yeah, meningococcemia. Thank you. Exactly. So meningococcal disease is a bacterial infection that can spread very, very quickly, and it's life-threatening unless treatment occurs. And in New Zealand, early on in my public health career, we had a massive epidemic which was affecting infants, not teenagers. Often meningococcal disease occurs in teenagers predominantly, but we had this epidemic in children, typically under the age of 5. And over time, and you can see the years of the different lines and different colors there, 2001 through to 2008. I know some of you probably weren't born then, maybe I exaggerate. But the epidemic took off in the pink line, and then it gradually tended to diminish. But you can see there's a complexity to this disease in that more cases occurred in people in living in areas of greatest deprivation. In other words, poorer housing, more lower incomes, less access to the resources people need for health. And so there's a social distribution of the disease. It's not just a case of people being at risk of disease overall, but it differs by where you live and what your social circumstances are. But interestingly, as we used research to drill down into what the underlying factors were, household crowding turned out to be the most important risk factor for a child living in a household. And it was the more adults, people aged 10 years or over, we called them, who lived in the house, the greater the risk to the child. So if you increase the number of adults by 2, you doubled the risk to a child living in that same house. If you increase the adult numbers by 6, for example, another family of older people moving in, the risk went up almost 11-fold, which is huge. And that was done by an epidemiological study called a case control study. And so we'll talk about case control studies briefly later on in the course. But here's the use of geographical information systems to map out where the cases were occurring. This was a very important technology to identify where to target information education campaigns, focus resources on where the need was greatest. And the need was greatest in the areas where there was most overcrowding. In parts of our city of Auckland. That's a map of Auckland City, surrounded by water, bits of land everywhere. So this led to public health action. So we had information from research and surveillance, which led to locally focused community-level campaigns to raise awareness about the early features of meningococcal disease and where to seek urgent help, because at the point of the early stages of the epidemic, we didn't have a vaccine. All we had was antibiotics and public awareness. And we also understood that household crowding was a problem, but you can't fix crowded housing overnight. It's tricky. So eventually this led to an immunization campaign, which involved mobilizing the community, developing our own targeted vaccine called the Men's B vaccine for New Zealand, and administering it to the community at greatest risk. But it also led to a housing program to deal with overcrowding. So we had an acute fix, immunization, a technical fix, and then a long-term fix for the determinant of health that underpinned this epidemic, which was household crowding, driven by the lack of affordable, appropriately sized housing for the children most at risk. And we measured the success of the intervention before the immunization by comparing houses with which had the housing intervention with those in the similar areas without the intervention. and found that there was a reduction in acute housing-related hospitalizations and meningococcal disease as one of those diseases, as well as some other benefits like increased immunization, like for general immunization, not meningococcal immunization, and increased GP attendance, which is actually good. So the public health approach to meningococcal disease in Auckland at that time was a multi-pronged, comprehensive, intersectoral activation of everybody at all levels of society. And the focus was on equitable access to appropriate intervention. It involved developing supportive environments with attention to underlying housing crowding. Communities were in the lead, if you like. Community leadership was really important to getting people to take the condition seriously and to mobilize people leadership with accurate information to get people involved in having the vaccine when it became available, and to reorientate the health service to ensure rapid access to care, appropriate and effective intervention, and to have skilled communications with well-informed communities. While this slide shows our local Tongan community mobilizing for COVID vaccine, it really it sent home a message in the meningococcal campaign. It was the same success factor was making vaccination easy, attractive, socially engaging and timely, and shifting social norms so that getting vaccinated became a normal thing for everybody to do and was acceptable. So behavioral science was an important understanding of how, and anthropology, really, social anthropology of getting people on board, but also leadership. Here's a local GP, Dr. Rawiri Jensen, who works on a clinic that's based on a Maori marae, so a familiar, safe setting for many Maori Indigenous New Zealanders to get their healthcare. But equally, political leadership, and this is our previous Prime Minister getting her COVID vaccine on a marae again, and that sent a message where to get the vaccine in a safe place, and that our leadership thought it was important. Notice she's also wearing a mask. So the public health approach to overcoming, concerns around things like getting a vaccine, whether it be for meningococcal disease or for COVID, was again built around that Ottawa Charter framework. It's a very useful framework for thinking about the things you need to do. And one of the things I think that we often ignore but underpins successful public health interventions is the element of trust. And I just want to, these slides keep self-advancing, it's a little bit annoying, but I just want to emphasize how important building trust with individuals and communities, and also people further up, policymakers, is so important as part of your role as a public health person or as a clinician. If you're dealing with individual patients and their families, having their trust will go a long way to advancing the healing process, getting people on board. And equally with public health interventions like immunizations or research to inform public health interventions, trust is absolutely critical. So public health is, to wrap this sort of part of the session up, the science and art. So there's a science, yes, behavioral science, technical science around vaccinology, biology, anthropology, all really important sciences, but there's also an art which is about relationships, leadership, trust building. It's important to preventing disease, prolonging life, promoting health, and reducing inequities through the organized efforts of society and societies. So bolding, reducing inequities, and also societies, people acting collectively in the wider interests and reducing differences and variation within their communities is very, very much at the heart of public health. So, applying those public health models, we talked about Te Whare Tapawha, the four-posted house. We use this model a lot in New Zealand, those different dimensions of spirituality, physical health, mental and social, emotional health, and family and your roots and origins. The Ottawa Charter model, and then with the 5 action areas, and then the rainbow model, thinking about the kind of different layers of exposure for individuals, and through that kind of expanding outward. So a public health approach to reducing smoking would be a good exercise for us to do, but maybe I think we can fit it in. So let's just get you into your breakout groups very briefly for just really 5 minutes of brainstorming, and think about reducing smoking in your country and what a public health approach might look like. You can choose one of these 3 models and come up in your small groups with what you think you would approach tackling smoking in your country level could look like using a public health model, one of those 3, just as an exercise in becoming familiar with those models in their different areas. So Gay, can I hand it over to you to mastermind the breakout groups?
Yep. I think Suzanne should be able to put them in.
Oh, Suzanne is here.
How many groups do you want?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think if we've got 30 people, if we can have 6 groups of 5, is that possible?
Yep.
Great. Thank you, Suzanne. And so that's the question on the screen. What does a public health approach to reducing smoking look like in your groups? Choose a model and apply it. And we'll come back and get the gathered wisdom from all the experts among you, and we'll have a bit of chat about that, and then we'll spend some time talking about ethics.
Okay,
And
I'll open the rooms.
That's great, and we'll spread the teaching team around whoever's left around those groups. Cool. See you soon.
I will join the first group.
Okay.
1.
Yeah.
Chris, would you be able to share the slide to the rooms as well when they're in?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or maybe the 3rd group, I think publish on the first group. Yeah, I'll join
Now,
them.
can I just remind me how I share the slides to the groups, Gay?
On the
With
if
share
you
screen?
if you click the share screen green arrow on
Yep.
in the window on the side, it should say an option to share to breakout rooms.
Okay.
I just go further away from Chris because the sound is just. All right. I guess you've seen the question, right? Should I revise the question for you?
Yeah, well, we can post it. I might post it in the chat actually.
Okay.
But I'm just
question
trying to
is
share the
post
screen.
it in the chat.
I'm having some real struggles here with this thing.
Or I can just.
Chris, that is the slides on Canvas, right? The question.
Yeah, do you want me to share it?
Suzanne
Yeah,
can
would you
share it
mind?
for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, they're gonna share the question.
Oh, there it is. There, I can see it now. Is that advanced sharing options?
All right. Can you guys see the question? Yeah. Okay. I suggest we unmute because we can all discuss together. Because sometimes when we mute, you speaking and you don't realize that you're on mute. So yeah, we are a friendly group of people. Don't worry. So just unmute.
Home track, are you there?
So the question says, what does a public health approach to reducing smoking look like? And Chris was like saying maybe you could apply this in your country. So
I'll just
anyone
double
would
check if they can see the question.
to discuss how this would be applied. Like for example, which approach would you choose? These are some of the approaches that Chris was talking about. The first one on the left was based on the Maori New Zealand approach. And then the second one or the middle one is the Ottawa Charter. And then the third one is what Chris was talking about, the rainbow model. So anybody would like to give it a go? Yeah, yeah. Let's go, Diana. Oh,
Yeah, they can see that.
Right. Thank you.
mm. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So it's interesting, Diana, what you said about what that. So one of the objectives of the policy was demoralize smoking.
Denormalizing.
Wow, that's amazing. Because in my research, I was because it's relevant to smoking among Muslims in New Zealand. I mean, Indonesia has a big Muslim population. And what you just said really resonated with what I was reading in my research. Yeah, great. Thank you, Diana, for sharing. Anybody else would like to share their perspective? Mm, mm, mm,
Yep, everyone is talking.
yeah. So Rina, your approach was a bit what you thought your approach was a bit different from the approach that Diana was talking, right? I think Diana was talking more of a health policy, right, Diana? Yeah. But your approach seems more of community engagement, community and social engagement with Rina's approach, right?
3 more minutes.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Anybody would like to share? Aldelia, please correct me if I'm pronouncing any name wrong. Yeah, okay. Mm, mm, yes. Mm, mm, mm. Yes. Yeah. 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 What do you think about that, Diana?
About 2 minutes and give one person from each group to speak. We'll need one person from each breakout group to feedback in about 2 minutes.
package. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Those are great shares and perspective. We have 15 seconds to turn back to the bigger room. I think Suzanne wants us to choose a spokesperson. So who can be the spokesperson for this group? Just to share with the wider participants what we discussed about. And everybody voted for Dan. Are you okay with that? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can convene and get some feedback. And we'll just start with group 1 and go through to group 6, I think. It should be a spokesperson for each group, and listen, be very informal. Just was covered in your small group work in response to this question. What does a public health approach to reducing smoking look like? Choose one of these models and apply it to help you structure your thinking around an approach. So would group 1 like to start? Just unmute and share with the whole class. And we'll become all very proficient at doing this over the next few weeks, by the way.
You forgot your group. Group 1 is Ade, Joanne, Nan Nguyen, Nino, Foot, and Prita.
Yes, for group 1, may I?
Sure, go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
That's good.
Nino.
Nino. Yeah.
Go,
I think
go,
you can
Nina.
explain more about what you are still talking. Yeah.
Yeah, we choose the model number 3 on the
Okay.
as part of the presentation. So this is the model of health determinants of which we shared for another country. I don't remember her name, sorry. Regarding on how we prevented or we advocate for reducing smoking in our country. And more specifically here in the Philippines, we have that policy, particularly on the advocacy of no smoking and in the indoor, and if there are certain areas. Now I'm not into this program, but I can share some. No, and of course looking into the diagram of our health determinants model, we can say that smoking of course affects age, sex, and other factors, particularly environmental factors. For an individual to have that, he or she can have smoking with peers or friends or maybe in the family as model, like a father or mother who are smokers, and this lifestyle affects particularly in growing and of course having a healthy lifestyle. Now more so in the Philippines, we can connect with that in the policy that we are implementing. Particularly, we have a program, the ORCID program, of which the local government units is exacerbating in terms of assessing or advocating for no smoking because it can affect particularly or harm our body. And because of that, there are networks, particularly LGUs, local government units, our non-government organizations and other private sectors looking into of this program. And while this program is of course advocated by the local government units, it expand to other, no, particularly on the other, no, part, and looking into the socioeconomic, cultural, and environmental conditions of which it can affect more, no, and we hope that with this program, we can reduce, particularly awarding the LGUs of no smoking, okay, no buying of cigarettes in stores, and particularly having a special area for those smokers who cannot do no the cessation. And this has been no productive and been recognized as one of those beautiful practice here in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick reflection, great explanation of what's happening in the Philippines. Just thinking about that green band in the rainbow model there of the determinants of health. It's quite a useful way of thinking about settings in which some interventions can occur. So, for example, education settings, workplace settings, healthcare settings. This settings-based approach to health promotion is part of the whole layering of right through up to policy settings as well. So local government embraces a lot of those things, but you've got civil society, faith groups like churches and mosques, other places like that can also be important settings for having consistent messaging to people. But as you talked about this being a determinants of health model, we need to think about the underlying social and economic factors which tend to be driving forces and commercial determinants, which are driving forces for behaviors like smoking. Okay, we'll move on quickly. I might just, in the interest of time, just go straight to group 3 and then group 6. So just a bit of randomization here. So if group 3 spokesperson can quickly summarize the discussion that they had and which model they chose. Group 3.
Group 3. Hi, Group 3 here. Dr. Jeffrey here.
Oh, cool.
So,
Hi, Jeffrey.
So our group talked about use the Ottawa Charter for Health Promotion model.
Great.
So we had some from Vietnam, from Jakarta, from Indonesia as well. In terms of building healthy public policy, one of the things mentioned was in terms of enforcement of the tobacco laws and increasing taxes on tobacco. For the creating the supportive environment, we talked about expanding the smoke-free zones to have work-free smoking places and smoke-free schools. And then in terms of strengthening community action, we talked about having using the youth and union leaders to mobilize them and have support from them. In terms of developing personal skills, we talked about having cessation counseling, especially in the primary healthcare setting, in terms of also for dealing with chronic diseases, and in terms of reorienting health services. Similarly to integrate the cessation into primary healthcare. I think there was a lot of issues which was raised by our colleague from Indonesia. We have all this legislation, but it's actually quite difficult for the government to actually enforce. Okay, the law is maybe there, but enforcement is another thing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really important stuff. You can see how helpful a framework is to just put the building blocks together, but bundling them all as one package is where the strength of public health really comes, because it's comprehensive from the individual right through to the policy level. And you mentioned the price of tobacco. It's such an important policy for countries to put up the price of tobacco, and that tax revenue gain from that can feed back ideally back into the community level and other programs and support for people to quit smoking, etc. So it's a sort of virtuous cycle that works very effectively. But as you say, the commercial forces at work in products like tobacco are very difficult, and often the political influence that they exert is a real challenge in public health. So great. Okay, we'll go with that fantastic work from Group 3. Group 6, just to wrap this part of the session up.
I am representing for Group 6. To conclude,
our discussion is we focus on public awareness campaign, and we choose model 3 rainbow model for reducing smoking in our country. It's important to raise public awareness, and so we do a campaign, especially targeting for youth to prevent smoking initiation and inform about health risks and side effect of long-term smoking, and also involving policymaker to make a change in, for example, strengthening tobacco control laws. For example, increasing tax, banning advertising in the box of cigarettes, and implementing smoke-free public spaces. Thank you.
Excellent. Yep. So again, using that model to help you break things down into its parts and thinking about where and where at what level you could intervene. And again, the best public health programs will operate at every level. They'll try and counter tobacco industry interference at that kind of general socioeconomic level. They might be doing poverty related strategies, because we know that smoking is distributed according to socioeconomic position pretty much everywhere in the world. Settings we've talked about, and then that kind of smoke-free environments, the environment around individuals, which can help to send a message about smoking not being normal, and that it's unsafe for people to breathe, etc. You know, these things all add incrementally together to convey the message and change the environment. It makes it easy for people to make healthy choices. And that's a strong public health message, is about making the healthy choices the easy choices. So yes, there is an individual agency and choice, but we need to reset the environment to make that much more accessible and easy for people. Great. Okay, so I hope you've got the message. These are useful frameworks for applying to pretty much anything. We could be talking about malaria, tuberculosis, COVID-19, or type 2 diabetes and obesity here, you know, and we could apply these frameworks. The Te Whare Tapawha model, Maori model, is not unique to New Zealand. It's a framework that applies to particularly indigenous and minoritized populations around the world. They will identify strongly with the land and their genealogy, their roots and identity as very much a part of their, you know, who they are, and their health and well-being resides in that. And so sometimes for many of us, we've kind of been separated over many generations from some of those things, and they're not so important to our health and well-being. But I think at the end of the day, social connectedness is very important to health, and we've sometimes overlooked that a little bit. So hopefully our time together will improve our social connectedness and help us to strengthen our well-being. Okay, I'm going to move on. That was a great piece of work. We'll be doing lots more of that kind of thing over the next few days, but let's just go on. I'm just going to jump that slide. Okay, so in the remaining time, we're going to look at public health ethics as a kind of under another framework, but an underpinning set of values that really informs, or should inform, the way we do our work in public health. And look, there are a whole lot of theories that you may or may not be familiar with. This is not a course in, you know, philosophy or of ethics, etc. But just to say, if you want to go down in detail, there's a reference at the bottom to a really good paper where I took this table from and adapted it a little bit. But fundamentally, there are a number of theories that you may have heard of. Virtue ethics, there's duty ethics and utilitarianism, and they're kind of the dominant streams of ethical models that tend to inform a lot of thinking around what is ethical behavior. And so the virtue ethics is all about that acquired skills or habits make people to operate effectively in different settings, like social settings, such as honesty, courage, modesty, trustworthiness, reliability, and perseverance. I think we'd all agree these are good things, right? And the kind of ethical action is to behave in a way in which a virtuous person should behave in a given situation, where they have a choice to be dishonest or not, to be brave and courageous or not. And so it has application for being effective in communities and working in organizations or professions. So it's a virtue-centered ethics is widely applicable across all sorts of different, religions and faiths and ways of thinking and behaving. Duty ethics is more about kind of rules that operate, often implicit in our societies. Often they might be underpinned by religious commands, like, the 10 Commandments that operate widely in Judaism and Christianity, but also in Islam, and obligations to seek justice. But we see very similar approaches in other religious faiths such as Buddhism and Hinduism, where we have obligations to respect and treat people well. And so your ethical thing is something about fulfilling those obligations or duties to society. So like being a good father or being a good parent, or, fulfilling your obligations, helping the poor. So that's a duty that may be driven through a religious faith or a sense of doing the right thing. And so we see these kind of ethical approaches playing out around the world in different settings and faith-based settings, etc. But they often set the standards for what are regarded as being right or wrong. Now, a more recent arrival on the scene with ethics is what's called utilitarianism, which means basically the outcomes of our actions determine whether they are ethical or not. And so it's more of a weighing up of the harms and the benefits, or the costs and effects and impacts of certain behaviors, and you kind of try and maximize the balance of benefits over harms. It's a much more calculated approach to thinking about ethical behavior. And so you might do a cost-benefit analysis or a risk-benefit analysis. Say, what's the right thing to do? Should we spend the money on prevention or on treatment? Let's look at some cost-benefit analyses and then make the decision on that basis. And that's called utilitarianism. And that's quite widely used increasingly in healthcare decision-making. Which drugs should a country purchase? It's done on the basis of some calculations about the greatest good for the greatest number and minimizing harm, maximizing benefit. So in medical ethics, there are 4 ethical principles: beneficence, or doing good; non-maleficence, doing no harm. And there's a medical ethical principle that we're all taught in medical school: first, do no harm, right? Justice, about being fair. And then the 4th one is autonomy, which is about giving as much freedom as possible to people to make their own choices and not having too much interference on that. And that's a fine line to tread, because we're often competing. These principles sort of run up against each other often. For example, in issues like the value of a life of an unborn child versus the life of the mother if there's a obstetric crisis, or what rights does a child have to determine their own care if they don't want to have treatment, or in what versus the parents' rights or the doctor's rights to decide. In public health, we have tended to go down the utilitarian route, because public health is often based on quantitative sciences and thinking about, the best use of resources across the whole of society. So not thinking just about the individual, but wider society and the distribution of health and how the benefits might accrue to different people groups within society. But we try and be as systematic as possible to clarify, to prioritize, and justify possible different courses of action based on these principles. And it's difficult. No one said making decisions was easy. And increasingly in our complex world, it's becoming harder and harder. But, these different theories can give a guidance to help weigh up the decisions. And ultimately, often governments make those decisions, in a collective way as, taking votes or by building consensus informed by public opinion and expert opinion to try and guide decisions and try and make the right decision, which not everybody will agree with, right? In a society, there will be differences of opinion. So just on this slide again, it's from that earlier paper comparing individual clinical sort of ethics and their focus versus public health ethics. So if we go down the left-hand column, clinical ethics, treatment of disease and injury, public health, prevention of disease and injury. And you could expand it to think about promotion of health as well as not just treatment of illness. Clinical ethics about making decisions based around medical interventions by clinical professionals. We're thinking in public health of a range of interventions, often led by groups or various professional groups. Let's just skip down a little bit. Often decisions in clinical medicine are based around the prestige and trustworthiness of a physician and the medical profession as a whole. Society gives a lot of trust to the medical profession. Say, my life is in your hands, doctor. You give me the information and then I'll sign the consent form. Whereas in public health, the authority is often based on law. It might be, smoke-free laws, or it might be quarantine and isolation, rules and regulations, mask wearing in public. Often we use public health laws that are enshrined in regulations for creating what's best policy. But also, we need the consent of the community, and that's where trust comes in again. The individual needs to trust the clinician, the midwife, the dentist, the doctor, about helping them to make the right decision in their own interests or the interests of their child. Whereas in public health, we have community trust needed to build community consent and build a consensus. And that often involves not just a one-off dialogue with the patient, but an ongoing dialogue to build collaboration between the public health professional and the public that we're concerned with. And in the individual, when we're talking about justice, it's largely focused on treating people equally and fairly to make sure everyone has equal access. Whereas in public health, we're thinking about social justice more broadly, about achieving health equity for everybody. So there are some differences, there are some similarities between the individual-focused clinical ethics framework, but there are public health there again has some distinctives, and that's just something to bear in mind. But here, when we're talking about equity and equality and justice in a kind of ethics sense, let's have a look at this little model. I find it very helpful as a way of trying to make concrete what are fairly abstract theories sometimes. So inequality, you've got this little person standing under a tree which has a bend in it. And on one side of the tree, there's a lot of apples growing, or it might be durian in your case, or some other fruit that you like. And on one side, there's not many. But that person has, on one side of the tree, on the left-hand side, has more access to the fruit of the tree, whereas the person on the other side, because of the way the tree has grown and bent, they don't have so much access. So that's inequality. Some people have more access to healthcare than other people. That's just the way it is. Equality could be trying to distribute those resources more fairly. So you could do that by providing people with ladders, the same size ladder. But hold it, there's a problem because that tree bends in favor of one person. Even though both people have got the same size ladder, they still don't have equal access, even though in theory they've got the same resources and tools to access health care. Now, equity is more about giving unequal resources to address the inequality that exists. So we give a longer ladder to the person who has the less access, but in fact, they still don't have as much fruit available to them. Even though they've got a longer ladder, there are a few fruit on that side of the tree. So if we're talking about justice, what we have to do is change the shape of the tree to straighten it up so that all fruit grow equally on both sides of the tree. And then people have given, with equal ladders, have access to offer equal access. So we have to address the system. We have to address the determinants of the problem, which is actually to do with the way the tree is bent or biased in favor of one group of people than another. And that's, you know, a more fundamental change. We're actually trying to change the shape of the tree, which is harder to do because the tree wants to bend in one direction. And we think about society, it tends to want to bend in favor of one group. Historically or through multi-generations, it arcs towards some people more than others. That might be geographical, it might be political and cultural. For whatever the reasons, are systematic and deeply embedded. And if in public health we want to really make health more equitable, we really have to tackle the underlying social injustices in society. And that's a long-term, maybe multi-generational project, and it's intensely political. And so it's not always easy in public health because, you know, politics is tricky in many countries, particularly these days. You know, not just in Asia or whatever, but in, you know, North America, right? The United States of America, big challenges going on there. So, you know, in public health, it's quite hard to do justice. So we have to find where we can work and affect change at the level at which we have influence as public health professionals, right? To do the ethical thing. And sometimes that's just in our immediate workplace environment or the communities with which we've been given responsibility for as a clinician or a community worker or a project worker. And so we have to do the best we can with the tools and resources we have. Meanwhile, quietly, if we can, given our society and the challenges of constraints that we have access to resources, we work for justice for everybody to make our societies fairer places. So I was reading an article by a colleague talking about some of the recent political challenges that are going around the world from, you know, many countries becoming more led by people with more dictatorial tendencies, and how challenging that is for people working in public health when we know that we want all voices to be heard around the table and everybody to have some power to affect change, to improve their lives. And so how can we act? We can act locally. And maybe as we do that, we can then see a ripple effect through people power. And so we shouldn't give up hope that change is not possible. So, so thinking about public health ethics, you know, I'll just jump back to that medical framework of doing good. Yes, we can apply the medical ethics framework to public health. We try and do good for as many people as possible. We try and do no harm. Yes, we can agree with that. We're seeking justice across, you know, our society, and we're also trying to maximize people's opportunity to express their individuality and have freedom to move and make choices. But sometimes, you know, these things can be constrained and difficult for us. But that's a use. If you can only remember 4 points from ethics, think about doing good, not doing harm, doing justice and being fair, in other words, and equitable, and autonomy is about that sort of freedom. But there are all sorts of complex philosophical underpinnings, which we haven't got a lot of time to go into, but you can read more about that in these readings. But I think, you know, this little model here is quite a helpful way of just making the distinction between particularly equality and equity, which is often mixed up, and justice, where we're talking really about fundamentally changing the system. And I think as public health people, we should all be concerned about that and expressing that. So in the time that we've got available, which isn't a lot, what I'm going to suggest we do between now and tomorrow, if you can spare the time, is, and we can maybe do some small group work and make a start on this. And then if you need to finish it off, you can do it as homework. Maybe we can go back into the same breakout groups that we've just had and discuss the following questions around really an ethical issue, which is one I faced when I was working in a country called Papua New Guinea, which is right next to Indonesia, West Papua, province, and I was in the independent state of Papua New Guinea, where we ran out of TB medication, but we had a big problem with TB. So how do we address that? What are the ethical questions? Maybe that's the first thing you can do in your small groups around a shortage of a life-saving and important public health medication, because when you think about it, you're not just treating TB, individuals with TB, you're actually preventing them spreading it to other people. So, but let's look at the problem of TB medication is in short supply in country X, we'll call it country X, and in your groups, discuss that. What are the ethical questions that will inform your response as a decision maker? And then if you've got time in your small groups, we've only got 5 minutes, if you haven't got time, think about who or what could be affected by the question gets resolved, and who should be, more fundamentally, who should be involved in making the decision about how the problem is solved. Okay, so maybe the first question is, what are the questions at stake here around the shortage of TB medication? If you can just get some of those thinking ideas down in your small groups, and then maybe the homework tonight you can think about is just for 10 minutes or so, think about who or what could be affected by the way the question gets resolved, who should be involved in the decision. We'll pick up those loose threads tomorrow when we come back again. Okay, so if we can break out now, and we'll do 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap up the session once we've gathered back and fed back from our groups. Thanks, Suzanne.
Okay.
Okay, we're all back? Fantastic. All right, well, look, we had, I think, was it groups one, I can't remember which we had last time. The groups who didn't speak up. I think group 2.
Yeah, so
group
Chris,
4,
2 and 5 were not able
2
to
and 5.
present. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So group 2, would somebody like to share from group 2 about what the ethical questions were and any other things you discussed relevant to facing a challenge like this?
Group 2 is the group of Dr. Kai Shing.
Yeah.
Hi. So from our group, we discussed about like the 4 points, like what are the ethical questions. So, you know, having a short supply of TB medication, you know, are we doing harm to those who are supposed to receive it? Yeah, and then that harm can also extend to, you know, household members or the community because we're not controlling the disease. And the other bit, the other question we raised was, you know, with the short supply, who should we prioritize? So are they those who we're restricting them from receiving the medications? And then I think we touched a bit about justice, but that's a big question mark because we don't really know how to approach that. And then even with the who should be involved in the decision making, so we say, okay, clinicians, maybe social workers, like say stakeholders from Ministry of Health, even pharmacies, you know, how they can procure the medication, more of the medications. Yeah, that's all from us. Thanks.
No, it's good. In 5 minutes, you did very well. And I think that P word was really important, prioritization, because you've got a limited resource. How do you make the ethical decision about who's going to get it and who's not going to get it? Very difficult. And so, you know, that's where, as you said, you know, first do no harm. How can we think about that and equity? And who should be involved in the decision making? I think, you know, it's a tricky one. Typically, clinicians want to have the big voice here, but there should be, I think, other voices in that discussion are really important as well. You know, nobody wants to be in a situation like this, but the reality is we are faced with rationing. And so governments, decision makers at various levels, sometimes clinicians in a district have to make an awful decision around who gets treated. And that might be on the basis of, you know, who's got the most benefit. And how can we minimize harm and maximize benefit? And so we come towards that utilitarian framework, which is, you know, the greatest good for the greatest number. We might be courageous and we might be, you know, honest and have integrity, but at the end of the day, we've got to make some tough decisions. So sometimes we have to fall back on those things. So that's really great. Okay, and then just in wrapping up the last group 5, was it?
Sorry, I
Feedback from
think
group
4
six?
and 5 were
4,
not
sorry.
able to present earlier. 4 and
Yeah,
5.
4. Okay. Group 4 then?
That's Dilla's group.
Okay, group 4. I would like to try to elaborate about what we discussed before. When TB medication is in short supply.
We've got, sorry, we've got
fundamental-
two talking.
Two talking. Sorry? What?
Sorry, Risky. I just heard another person talking at the same time.
I think it's someone in Rizky's office.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's in your office, Risky. We're hearing a loud voice in the background. Okay, are you able to speak, or is there a lot of noise in your background? It was just sounding quite hard to hear you.
Maybe we go to group 5 first.
While you're getting ready, we'll go to group 5.
Wait a minute.
Oh, there. Okay.
Okay, I'll move to the next room. All right.
Okay, perfect. That's perfect. We can hear you really well now.
Okay, yeah. All right, sir. Sorry for
No problem. No problem.
distraction. All right. When TB medication maybe is in short supply, fundamental questions emerge about how to distribute scarce resource fairly.
Yeah.
I think our key ethical questions include which patient should receive priority access to limited TB medications? Should priority be based on clinical severity, likelihood of treatment of success, risk to public health, or social factors? How can the allocation system balance individual patient needs with population level disease control? And we also talk about the ethical principles such as beneficence versus justice. Should medications go to those most likely to benefit, or should they be distributed equally? Non-maleficence versus health maximization. How do we minimize harm to individuals while maximizing population health benefits? And then autonomy versus public health necessity. Do patients have the rights to refuse treatment when their untreated TB poses risk to others?
Yes.
I think that's all.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay, you touched on a lot there, but very good because it was quite concrete. And that's the reality, is that we don't always have easy answers. But as long as we've done the hard work of thinking through what these issues are and trying to operate from an explicit framework and kind of document, if you like, those processes that we work through in order to allocate scarce resources, I think we're on firmer foundation than just personal preference or bias, which is often the way things work. Okay, and do we have, and I think we're out of time actually. Unfortunately, we've got to close, and I'm sure many of you have got other things for the rest of your day to go to. But I'd like to just draw things to a close by thanking you all. Lovely to meet you all. Thank you for your introductions. We've just sort of set the scene, and tomorrow we'll go into some more specifics. But really appreciate the fact that you've engaged so quickly with the small group work. I'm going to hand over to, I think, Suzanne, did you have a closing karakia or not? Or am I putting you on the spot? I am, aren't I? And no?
No, sorry, I just lost my cursor.
Oh, okay.
I'm just wandering around trying to find the cursor. Okay. So as is customary, we will always open and close with a karakia, which is to bring us together, and it keeps us this space for us separate from our the rest of our lives and work. Okay. Kia tō, kia tātou katoa, te aio, te aroha me te marutou, tihe mauri ora. May peace, love, and safety be upon us all. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Kia ora. Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Same Zoom link
time.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will not be sending you
Thanking-
reminders anymore. You know that.
Yeah, thank you, Suzanne. Yeah.
Thank you so
Professor
much.
Ari
Thank you so much.
Ari
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Chris, I
You
have
made it.
the list of the group 5 if you want me to
Oh,
send that to you in case you want to
oh yeah.
affect the report
Okay.
tomorrow.
Thank
I'll
you. That'd
email
be
it to
great.
you.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
brilliant. Thanks
Thank
very much. I'll
you.
just shut down. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks very much.
Bye.
We
Bye,
broke the ice, so
everybody.
that's
Thank
good.
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.